Matilda.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another show of Podcasters Unleash. It's another Monday. It's 7 p.m. London time. So, welcome. I'm excited for today's show. I think you're going to enjoy it a lot and benefit it a lot as well. So, I'm going to start with our my co-hosts so they can introduce themselves and we can start the show. Let's go with you, Carla.
I'm Carla. I'm the host of the Wonder and Wellbeing podcast, which is a podcast for parents and teachers of kids between the ages of 5 and 14 years old. And it's all about wellbeing and education. Over to you, Simon.
I am Simon, host of Taxi Chronicles and Africa Investor Stories. If you want to hear real life from real riders with real stories, listen to Taxi Chronicles. We post every day. And if you want to know about investing in Africa from a foreigner's point of view, by all means, listen to Africa Investor Stories. Over to you, Nelson.
And good afternoon, everyone, or good morning. This is Nelson J. Zambrano. I am the host of Investing in America, where you learn how to invest in U.S. real estate and great stories about interesting entrepreneurs with incredible best business practices. And over to you, Kaola.
Thank you, Nelson. So I'm the host of the podcast, Women with Stories, where I share real stories from expat women around the world and inspiring stories. So tune in. Over to you, Victor.
Hi, thank you, Carla. I'm Victor, the host of Diaspora Entrepreneurs Podcast. You can find our podcast anywhere on your major platforms. We talk about diasporans, African and Caribbean diasporans, who wants to live a lifestyle of freedom. Over to you, Matilda.
And I'm Matilda, host of Coffee with Matilda, A Journey to Self. We talk about finding ourselves, discovering our needs, and loving ourselves. So today we're going to talk about your core needs in a relationship. I realize the quality of your life is always related to the quality of your relationships. I'm talking about relationship with friends, with parents, with your children, with your romantic partner. We enter.
So what today is going to happen is we're going to talk about the quality of relationships and the things that happen. We have a little bit of a technical difficulty. Matilda, you are back.
Okay. So I was saying we enter in a relationship for the same reason we do everything else in our lives, because we're motivated by our needs. We seek out others in order to fulfill our unfulfilled needs. Alone, we feel empty and isolated. We hope to complete ourselves through our relationships. I want to ask I think this episode will be a very interesting episode in a way because everyone can relate to it. It's good for single people because we have some single people in the group. We can share our stories, and it's good for people who've been in a long partnership with their significant others. So it's for everyone. I want to ask from Kaula from the beginning. Why do humans have the need to be in relationship? Why can't we just live alone? You do realize any relationship that we have, there it's some work. I mean, we need to compromise certain things, even if your relationship with your children, with your parents, let alone to a romantic partner. So why on earth a human being wants put himself or herself in a relationship?
That's a very interesting question, Matilda, because we never ask that question, why we need to be in a relationship, why we have our surroundings. And I do think that relationships and family are the center of human life, and they can have a huge influence on your health. Having good friendship and family support, it can ease stress and avoid mental illness, and gives you the energy and courage to live a healthier life. And I was searching this question, and I found an Indian guru who talked about friendship and relationships, and he said that relationships are formed in different type of levels to fulfill different types of needs. So these needs can be physical, psychological, financial, political. It could be in any kind, whatever the nature and the type of the relationship. The fundamental aspect and the basic of the relationship is to fulfill a need. And that's what we ignore that, because some people say, well, I will be in a relationship because I will give something to someone. I don't want to get something from my partner. But the aspect of giving something, it's a need. If you want to fulfill a need, to give something to someone. And when we are in a relationship, we want to fulfill needs and we want to fulfill expectations. And I think if the expectations and needs are not met in a relationship can go bad. It can go really bad. And we can go in details after that about the expectation and unrealistic expectation that we have now in our generations.
Very lovely. But I want to start with this. Before having any relationship with others, any successful relationship, we need to know our core needs in a particular setting. So, for example, if we want to be in a romantic partnership with someone, we need to understand what our needs are and why we are getting into this relationship, so we can have a successful one. Otherwise, your needs, their needs, going to get mixed up, and it's going to be a messy situation. I want to understand, what are your needs, each of you? We can talk about 5 of us or 6 of us. What are our core needs in a relationship? Let's go, Carla, with you. If you have a couple of words, knowing yourself, what is your needs?
For me, my first need is to feel a sense of purpose in the relationship. That's number one. It's got to be for a reason on both sides, and it's kind of like a shared purpose. And I would say my second one up there at the top is a need to feel safe and secure. That's really important.
I love that. I think a lot of women, they're going to tap into that. Let's go with Nelson. Nelson, you're very quiet today. Why? What is your core needs in a relationship?
My core needs in a relationship, well, first of all, is trust. There's got to be a strong amount of trust and compatibility. So that's a huge thing for me. And then everything else kind of builds around that. Yeah.
Great. What about you, Victor? You've been married for a long time. What are your needs?
Thank you, Matilda. Yeah, for me, alignment and support. That is my current need.
Alignment and support. Nice.
Yeah.
And what about you, Simon?
My first thing is teamwork, and I need a team player. And then obviously, because I'm dealing with someone of the opposite sex, I look for the qualities that I'd ideally get from my mother, in the sense of caring, organization, being able to run a household in that respect. But yeah, teamwork definitely comes to the forefront as a key word. The team player, sorry.
And the youngest one in our group, Carla, what about yours as a single woman?
Yeah, actually, that's a very interesting question, because in my beginning of my 20s, I was not really communicating my needs clearly. And that's why most of my relationships didn't work, because I wasn't very specific about what I want. But with my experience and with going in life, I do think that I do need a life partner, someone where I can take risk more, do investments, travel together, have experiences in entrepreneurship, and be ambitious enough to create good things for the world and for us too. And those are the needs that I discovered as I'm going to my single life. I discovered that I needed something, and these things are very important to me. But in my life, when I go through it, I do think that if I want to get into a relationship or to be able to give my 100% relationship, I need to ensure that I will be financially, emotionally, and intellectually independent. So independency is very important in a relationship. We will go deeper in this conversation after.
Very good. But I want Carla to answer this because she's been a teacher for many years and been working in education for a long time. I want to understand why and how. How can we understand our core needs? Because, I've talked with some people, they don't know even what their core needs are. Maybe we can help our listeners from the step one. How can someone understand their needs? So then they can communicate with their partner. But first, they have to understand it for themselves. How can we do that, Carla?
That's a good question, Matilda, and it definitely connects back to childhood. I think that the earlier in life you're presented with the words, what do you need? The better it will be for you, because when you get used to answering that question, it becomes a life skill for you. Howla mentioned when she was speaking just now about what she wants. And I think that's very different from what you need. What you want is one thing, which is valid, but what you need is a completely different thing. Sometimes actually they don't even align. And this happens from way back in childhood. So, for example, children may cry because they're hungry, but what they're crying for is biscuits, because they want biscuits, but they don't actually need biscuits. What they need is a good meal. And it's only through the skill of parents and teachers to say to them, well, what do you need? And when they say, I need biscuits, you say, well, no, you don't need biscuits. You mean you want biscuits. And this kind of basic language helps children to understand the difference between needs and wants. But then as they get older, you can build on that by explaining to them that what they need is always going to be something that's missing, that is going to enhance them as a person or enhance their life. And that it may not always be what's comfortable or what makes them happy. You may need a partner who gives you safety and security, but how that looks in the relationship, it may not be full freedom to do whatever you want. You see, so sometimes we say, oh, I want to be free and I want to be able to do whatever I want. But actually, if you were free to do whatever you want, you would run your life into chaos, because you actually need a partner who's stable and is going to bring structure and maybe a bit of discipline. If you have a childhood, for example, where there wasn't a lot of discipline and you were allowed to run wild and do whatever you want, when you get older, you may need a partner that's a bit more stable. But you're never going to know that unless you've had this language presented to you as a child. And if not, it can be a hard job to figure it out, because it's a trial and error then. If your parents and teachers and the adults around you don't introduce it to you from a young age, then you're going to go through a painful process of making mistakes, realizing what you've done wrong has been as a result of not having what you need, and then having to refine it as you go through life. So I think that is really important for parents and for teachers.
Awesome. I want to understand Nelson's point of view in this as well, because Nelson's background and life experiences and some knowledge that I know from you, Nelson. How do you understand your needs?
Well, I mean, and I got to admit, I was just captivated by Carla's answer. That is so true. To have that question asked, the earlier the age, the better, because then it's a muscle, just like she was saying. I mean, it's a muscle. I was actually taking notes for myself. It's a muscle that needs to be developed, and the more times we can ask ourselves, but even in a friendly conversation or with someone that you like or you're thinking about, to get asked that question over and over again is the best way to get that ball rolling. I know for myself, there were things that I found out that I didn't even think that I liked. I had no interest. And then when I was exposed to them, I was thinking, I couldn't believe that such a small thing, almost insignificant, made me so happy. So, but it's first so important to ask that first question and to differentiate. Language is so important. I agree with Carla 100%. The difference between a want and a need, and not to collapse those two.
Great. I wanna realize this. Okay, now we understand our needs. Then what? We need to communicate that to our partner. Otherwise, we're not gonna have a healthy relationship. I think effective and healthy communication of your needs is the key here. Since Victor has been in a healthy and
And I think what Matilda was saying, since Victor has been in a healthy and fulfilling relationship, Victor, can you tell us how you go about communicating your needs?
I'm back again, sir. So I want to see what Victor,
Okay.
what about you, Victor? You've been in a happy marriage for a long time. So I want to see, how do you communicate your needs? How do you meet your needs in your marriage with your kids?
I would, I would, I would want to believe so. Yes, because if I say 100% yes, that would be that may be an overassumption on my part. They might have their own. They might have their own say on this, because I think I try my best to meet the needs of my family. I try my best. I get. So, but for me, I believe um, some of the research and from my own experience, whenever I'm in this happy place, this aligned place, when it comes to my needs in my family relationship, I'm very happy. It's like I'm walking on water. So it's very, and I say,
You're becoming Jesus
it, yeah, you see, you see, and I say, see, I want to live long, I want to live happier. So people with healthier relationship tend to live longer. So I was not, let me say, I was not a very good communicator when it comes to communicating your needs, because of cultural background. The men are supposed to do this, do that. So we really were communicating properly. But I try now, moving forward, to like communicate what I actually need, what is expected of, how to put trust. See, let me not go down that rabbit hole of trust in relationship and all this kind of stuff. But communication is very good for your own well-being, for your own sanity, and to live a happier life.
You're very true. I strongly believe that communication is the key for any relationship. And if you learn how to communicate your needs in a very calm and positive way, you're going to have a happy life. Your partner going to have a happy life. Your children going to have a happy life. So it's a very good skill to learn. I'm working on my communication skills.
Yeah.
And
And the most
honestly, right,
important thing,
yeah.
the most important thing, Matilda, is to learn how to just shut up.
That's true.
Yeah,
That I need to learn as
that
well.
takes the whole. Yeah, just, you know what? Just shut up. Simple. That takes a whole lot of quarrels away, so much misunderstanding away, when you just know when to shut up.
You know, it was very interesting. I met this older couple, and they said, "You want a tip from?" I think they've been married for 40 years. They're like, "Okay, one day you're gonna be the bell, and you're gonna make a lot of noise, and one day you need to be the cotton and don't make any noise." Actually, this was an actually Armenian expression, so I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but it was interesting. So one day you're gonna talk, and the other day you're not. You're gonna zip it. So you have to learn that to have a happy life. Otherwise, if every time you talk, you're gonna be a damaging. If you don't talk about your needs, you're gonna be damaging as well.
And Matilda, just to add in there, we got talking about communication from Marie Tapa. Great topic. Communication is key in any relationship, from Marie Tapa. Great topic. Communication is key in any relationship. Back to you, Matilda.
Awesome. Thank you, Mari Tapa. And then, so I'm going to ask you, Simon. I want to ask you a juicy question, because you've been a man you're the man's man. That's how you portray your personality, or that's how I know you. You've traveled with a lot of men. You've been in a military life. you've with your line of work, and right now with Taxi Chronics, you meet a lot of men, and I'm sure you have some talks. What do they call it? Closet talk? No, what Trump said?
Men's locker room talk.
Locker room talks. Even you hear that kind of talks as well. I want to see what are the men needs in a relationship. Obviously, you cannot talk about all men, but what you heard most about men, and what about you as well? What are your needs in a relationship and men in general?
I think it comes back to that team player element, and also it comes back to a certain amount of peace and peace element. When you come home, you want that peace. You want things to flow naturally. You don't want lots of drama. I'm not sure if it's fair to say a man really has a major tick list. It's usually typically food, sex, and kind of to be left alone for at least a period of time. But there's different people, different things. I think every man needs peace and quiet in his house at some times. And I'm talking stereotypically here. I know there are some women who say, "Well, I get to work too, or I do this." Yeah, fair enough. I'm not talking about you though. But generally, I think it's if you've got a team player on your hands, and there's a typical joke that Chris Rock cracks where he says, "If you're a single man and you own a house, it's yours. Yeah. If you're in a relationship and you own a house, it's not yours." And what he means by that is try putting a A0 picture of your mother over the fireplace and see how quick your woman takes it down in that respect. So I think what my point is here is that with men, we're quite simple. Because there's many a man.
Which part you guys are simple? Because you guys are not simple at all.
Okay,
For a woman's perspective, you guys are not simple.
Okay, are we the host today? But anyway, moving on. A typical example is everything in the house is usually what the woman wants: the curtains, the sofas, everything. And many a man sleeping in pig sheets. I think Victor might even be able to vouch for this. But that would be to have a tick list. You don't really need a tick list. There's certain things we all should know how to do: personal hygiene, manners, common courtesy, looking out for the person on your same team. And we're back to you, Matilda. I think we have a comment here. Oh, sorry. Who's reading? Nelson?
Nelson, are you reading it?
Yes, I am. And the comment, if we could bring back the comment, finding balance in communication and when to do so helps. Encouraging those who are not used to communicate to do so in a respectful and inviting manner, which helps as well in relationships. From Mari Tapa.
Great.
Very nice comment.
So what about you, Nelson? What do you think? Do you agree with Simon?
On which aspect? So you're gonna have to on that question.
The aspect that men want peace and quiet overall.
I guess it depends what phase, what part, and what a person is doing in their lives, right? So it kind of goes by cycles and waves. Everybody's going to want some kind of solitude. Most people, want that. At the same time, for me, I am going to want some interaction, but I don't want that interaction as soon as I walk in through the door.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's very good. That's a very good tip for a woman here. Listen up, the woman here. So I have to give space. And
you need a time to unwind. So I had a friend that she said when her husband comes in, she'd give him an hour just to sort himself out. Sit down there, whatever, and then she'd bring him his dinner and start talking about the day. but she won't just bam, bam, bam. Yeah, because it won't work out well.
Lovely.
Yeah,
What about
it's,
Victor?
yeah. I mean, just to kind of, for me, wrap it up. It's kind of a little bit of an overload, and it's a bit inconsiderate. Okay, because you're coming from like this overload environment from the outside, and you're walking into another overload environment.
Oh, that's why women bring beauty in the house, because there are so lot. We need to work on that woman, because I think it's beautiful when
Yeah,
a man comes and there's a calmness in the house and there's a.
Just don't bring it all at the same time. Just
Matilda, I watch.
Yes,
There's. Can you hear me? There's this TED talk
yeah.
about how men process information to how women process information. See, I can go out, come back in, I'll put everything outside the door and walk in. My head will be like blank. I don't want any drama, just come back in. But when a woman walks in, they kind of bring the drama from outside, bring it back into the house, and want to keep it going. But while a man wants to just come back home, blank, and just chill, think about nothing else. So when
Because
you try
we
to
are,
fill in that space with so much, that's the drama Nelson and Simon's talking. When you try to start filling it with someone, no, just allow man to just relax, chill, think about nothing else.
When you take into go on, Nelson, Victor.
Yeah, so we know how to compartmentalize stuff. We talk about this, that's it there. You don't bring it to the next. But for a woman, everything is kind of mixed up. You talk about yesterday, talk about today, what you just saw at the bus stop, what you saw down in Tesco's, so everything is kind of mashed up. But for men, it's very simple, as Kai Simon said. Men are simple beings, no complication at all.
well, for complicated people, you guys are not simple for us, because you guys are not complicated. It's not easy for us to deal with you guys. You guys are too simple. That's complication too,
Maybe you make it complicated in the way you look at it. You just can't see it in the simple terms because your mind's always going. And so generally, if you slow down, it'll just be like, okay, I don't need to say anything. I don't need to,
Interesting. You know why I think women, they like to come home and communicate with their husband or their partner? I think it's because for us, that communication or just sharing with you what happened that day, nagging or not nagging, doesn't matter. It's our way of saying we are with you, or we are connected with you, or we're close to you. It's a sign of closeness. If we don't share those, then, why do we have you guys in a way? I mean, it's for us connection. We are ensuring our connection with you, That's how we operate. So let's go with Carla. Carla, you've been in relationships, and you are a mother as well. I want to know, what about a woman? What are the core needs of a woman? I mean, obviously, this is relevant to each person, but generally, what women need?
Well, actually, in support of what the guys were just saying, as you know, we do research for this, don't we? We all take different areas and we do research before the show. And when I did the research shows exactly what the guys said, that women are far more complex. So I noticed that the guys were able to sum up 1 or 2 things, maximum 3 things that men need. But when the women's, it was quite interesting. I found one article that had 5 things that women need. Then I found another one that had 6. I found one that had 9. And when I thought I was done, I found one that had 15 things that women need. And I was like, well, what is it? Is it 6, 5, 9, 15? But I was able to split them into 2 groups of what I call traditional needs. So there are women that will define their needs according to the old-fashioned values, I guess, and traditional standards of relationships. And then there was the modern needs. And there were some things that overlapped. So from the traditional side, it was to have somebody that's a provider. And there are lots of debates about that in society now, whether or not it's a man's job to provide. But it's based on, I think, historical facts. You know, women cannot consistently provide for themselves, especially when they become mothers. And I know that there are lots of people that will argue now that women can have passive income, or they can have their investments and they can get their finances together before they get married, but it's very idealistic. And it's also not available to all women globally. The vast majority of women still require and rely on a husband as a provider for significant portions of their childbearing age. So that was up there at the top. And then there was all of the emotional needs that women have, somebody to listen to them, to care for them, to love them. And then there were things like loyalty and faithfulness that was up there. And those were kind of in the traditional. But when you look at the more modern people who might have a more contemporary view of relationships, they were talking about things like equality, of things like housework, somebody who's intuitive and empathetic and able to listen and have those good conversations and things like that. Someone who's respectful. And one interesting thing that came up was an understanding of the nuances of consent. And I thought that was quite an interesting thing coming up in relationships. But when I looked around a little bit, it was the discussion around the fact that being in a relationship doesn't make someone your property physically. And I think that maybe a lot of people perhaps had thought that that was something of the past. And because of improvements in communication between men and women in relationships, that was no longer an issue, but it kept coming up in things that I was reading. And just things to do with emotional intimacy. I think the standards of people who have more modern views or contemporary views of relationships, the standards for the communication is much higher. Women are saying that they want men that can communicate on a much more sophisticated level. So that's what the research shows. Now, from a personal point of view, I'm definitely traditional. When I read that, I was like, no, I really don't want a man that can talk about all these little nuances and details. No, that's for women. I would rather do that with other women or with myself. I can get some of those things from my relationship with myself. And I think your relationship with yourself is key to reducing the demands that you put on your partner, as well as the other people in your life. So your friends, your mom, your dad, your sisters, brothers, other people that you have in your network. If those relationships are good, you'll be getting lots of your needs met. And then you're not going to do, what was the term that the guys used about just blasting them when they get in? Because you probably called your friend and had a good chat on the phone with your friend and blasted her with your girl stuff, so that when your partner comes in, you don't need to do that. And I think that's one of the things that I found from my experience. When you don't have that, then you can overwhelm people that you're in a relationship with, and you can put too many demands on them. So I wouldn't say that I need that, but I definitely say that for me in a relationship, I need that traditional setup. So I need somebody who's reliable, somebody who is a real man, kind of knows what his position is as a man, and isn't afraid to kind of step into that role, despite the modern traditional. I think that's for some women, and if they need that, that's good for them. But I think men and women who don't need that or don't support that, they have to have the confidence to kind of say, well, no, that's not our way of doing things. And for me, I don't like that. I don't like a man who's all sentimental and emotional, but actually when it comes to getting the action and rolling his sleeves up and getting stuff done, he's not doing it, or he's not even there because he's off taking care of his emotional needs. That to me is just nonsense, you know?
That's so funny.
Okay, so
Yes,
so
true, Carla.
two things. Let me just jump in here. One, they're not mutually exclusive, and two, from Sasha Church-Bakarian, real men are simple. That's why they don't communicate a lot. The problems start with couples. We have to manage with complicated women. Sasha
Woo,
Church-Bakarian.
go for it.
Well done, Sasha.
All right, Sasha.
I think Sasha is frustrated about a woman in his life.
Matilda, we have Team Sasha here. Be careful.
We got your back, Sasha. We got your back.
Very nice. So what about you, Kaula? Like, you're young. You haven't found your partner yet. You're still at the age that, you're still discovering yourself. You're still discovering your life. You're building your life. It's a kind of a critical time, because at one point you think like you want to get married, you want to find the one that is advertised in society. At one point you are from traditional family in a way that you're coming from Middle East. So I am coming from Middle East, so I can understand sometimes the pressure of the family or the society there can be crucial for women like us from that background. But how do you deal with that? How do you say, okay, I need to build myself first and then I'm going to look for a partner? How do you manage that?
Well, that's a very interesting question. First of all, even if I'm in the Middle East, surprisingly, my family don't put a lot of pressure on being married. I do think because of the history and experiences of damaged relationships we had in the family. So I do, like a lot of women in the Middle East, they are traumatized to be in a relationship because of the experience they hear and they see in other relationships. So they are a little bit afraid to take risks. And I'm one of them. I used to be one of them before getting to know myself. But I do think that the mistake that a lot of women do is that they want someone to complete that emptiness in them. They want someone to complete them. And that's not the fundamental aspects of a relationship. They need a partner and not a codependent. Even if the partner is a wonderful partner and they will be there no matter what, it will be overwhelming to the partner. And of course, in a relationship, we need someone to support us, but it's very hard for that partner to support us 24/7 and be there every day and each day to solve our problems. So I do think that a woman should be independent and should have her surroundings and not just focus on her partner all the time. And that's what's happening. I do see that a lot in the Middle East culture because they do put the pressure. Well, now you're grown up, so you need to get married, get married, get married. And she hears only this word. And then when she gets married, it doesn't work and they get divorced. And there are very high rates of divorce in the Middle East because the woman, she didn't understand herself. She didn't know what her needs was. She had this lack of independence that she needs to be educated about it. And I do think that a lot of women, they have needs to have a family and to raise a family. And I do respect that. And every woman needs to have a traditional, wants to have a marriage and to have kids, but at least have this independence to do something else rather than putting all your focus on your partner.
That's interesting what you're saying, and I really agree with you because, again, with my background and being a woman, I can understand close to your age, couple of years, like here this side. But I was watching this Sex and the City. I mean, I know it's a funny example, but I was watching Sex and the City, and they were saying, "Oh, men are like they're not ready for marriage. They're like taxi drivers, like taxis." New York taxi. The light is not on, so they're occupied, and they don't want to get married. They don't want to get married, and then they realize, oh, they want to get married. They want to find a partner, and then that light goes on, and then they're like, okay, the first passenger, let's come in. For them, it's so easier to find a partner, but for women, maybe we watch Cinderella or I don't know other Disney cartoons, and we are constantly always, or our surrounding and society is constantly saying, oh, you should find someone, you should settle down and stuff. For women, we're always ready for that. Do you think, Simon, is that true? The men are like the taxi lights that it goes on and that's it, they find a partner?
Well, I think women work. I think you probably need to turn it around. Really, women more seek a partner because they've got a biological clock which puts a limit on what they need to do and when in life. A man can be having kids when he's 70 if he wants to. So when it comes to marriage, there's no real rush. You just look at it and say, well, you could wake up one day and think, yeah, I feel like getting married, but it's obviously going to depend on who you bump into as well. Because you could say, I feel like getting married, and everyone around you is like an Instagram influencer, which probably is not going to help you. But on the other hand, it's a combination of the both. But I think that when it comes to marriage, the overall issue is women's, it's not men. Women put pressure on men because they've got a biological clock and they want to have kids before a certain age and they have a plan in their head. Well, just like boys in the school ground, my plan is to play football. I don't need to think further than that.
Is that Nelson?
No, I just wanted to go back to what Carla was saying. When she was saying that how women need to be independent and just to kind of go more deeper in that, and I think that applies for both males and females, is that people, it's important to know what kind of relationship or relationships a person wants to have, because it's a big jump to say, hey, when are you going to get married? Well, what are the traits in a mate? What kind of marriage do you want to have? What kind of life do you want to have? There's a whole bunch of things there before just getting married, right? And I know I used to get that from my family. When are you going to get married? When are you get married? And I'm thinking, there's a lot of things I want to do. I don't even know that kind of person I like to attract into my life before, hey, get married. So there's a bunch of things that we need to know, what we bring to the table, what we're looking from the other person to bring to the table, what we want to create. All of that has to happen before, hey, we're just going to get married or, just get married. So it's easy, like my grandfather used to say, it's easy to get on the horse. But once you're on that horse, nobody wants to help you get off.
That's true.
So.
Very nice. I like your grandfather. Seems like a very interesting man. Let's see, Victor, you've been living in different countries, Nigeria and England, per se, and you look at your surrounding, other men, other friends you have in both countries. Different cultures will create different needs in a relationship. Do you see that? Do you think culture creates different cultures create different needs in you in a relationship? Victor?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
We can hear
I'll
you.
say yes, absolutely. Different cultures, different results, different cultures, different way it affects relationship. So the typical African relationship is traditional, where I'm a Nigerian. It's okay for our women to say, oh, I'm a woman, take care of the bill. It's okay. Okay.
Mhm.
It's okay men to step up and take care of the bills. It's okay. So traditionally, men provide while women, most times, we really don't see that because it kind of like, because some of the women just stay on the background but they are really the powerhouse in African relationship. They are the powerhouse. If you meet any, let me say, if you meet any Nigerian woman, you know that they are a force to reckon with because they're full of power, they're full of so much energy, and they can take you from 0 to 60 in less than 5 seconds. So that is why that is why I keep saying I don't know where people are getting this from. Oh, I don't like a powerful woman, I don't like a strong woman. I like strong women because most Nigerian women are strong, most African women are strong. They know themselves. They will say, oh, you are the man, take care of this. But when you flip it and when you start adopting the Western style, the Western model of relationship, where we start, you want to pay the bills, you kind of, the women would say, oh no, pay half. The kind of, it doesn't, it's foreign to some of us, whereby you start like want to share the bills, want to like, you get on the car, this one wants to pay, this one, no, it's foreign. Oh, your woman stay. It's not like you're being, how's it called? It's not like you're being a misogynist or how's it called? But it's just a culture, it's just our cultural values that we pay, we stand up, we try to protect as much as we can of our partners. But here you don't want to like you don't want to you want everything to be shared 50-50. You start talking about
Ew.
equality. You get that is very foreign to some of us with African background. It's not done where we come from. We've not seen our fathers or our fathers' fathers do that. We love our women. We want them to stay beautiful. We want them to remain strong, and they should keep doing what they're doing on the background. And most of them now, see, we now allow, because of this Western model now. Some African women, they are like on fire right now. They are moving at the speed of light because they're coming out in all forms, in all directions now, and they're going. So, and you see men who are very, very secure in their masculinity, they just sit back. Okay, go. I'm behind you. Go. We
I
have
love
the
that.
we
I'm
have the
behind
women.
you, girl.
Yeah, we have these chairwoman now from the World Trade Organization now. Her husband is just like, the guy is a professor, but he's just like, okay, go. I'm just behind you. Go. So we have the cultural relationship in Africa now is changing because more women are coming out to just do their thing, and the men are like, okay, I know you can do this on the background, so now go. If you want to go, go. So that is what I'll say, comparing traditional African relationship and the Western one.
Awesome.
And,
Actually,
and
Armenian and, where I'm coming from, Armenian Middle East culture is kind of African. It's close to African culture as well. We want the man to be the man and have kind of a traditional role in a relationship.
And
I
wait a
don't
minute. And talking about the man, we have a comment here from Sasha. Sasha Serge Bakarian. With the transhumanism, it will be the end of the old concept of classical couple. So with the individualism and the evolution of the society, the needs are going to change. Thank you from Sasha. And Ida Garibian, important topic.
I want to tell Sasha, Ida, Mary, Tapa, and our other listeners, Ruth Powell, Fasa, sorry for pronouncing it wrong, and whoever that is listening, please comment. We have 3 professional men that they've been in relationship for a long time. They can answer from a man's perspective or from a human perspective, and we have 3 women that can answer as well as a woman perspective or a human perspective as well. Ask us some questions, and we'll discuss it. I'm going to ask one important one from Nelson. Nelson, are you ready? Is it the person or the relationship that meets your needs? And explain why.
Well, that's a good question. Most people would say it's the person. I say it's the relationship. To me, a relationship is everything. A relationship is what? It's the space in between 2 people. And I look at it, I'll give you an example. This is the example I use. Would a person take a job that gave them all the money that they wanted to make, buy them all the luxury items that they wanted? However, it was a job that they could never take a day off. Okay. They could never have a bad day. And nobody would take that job, right? Nobody would take it. Why? Because it's impossible to meet. You're gonna want to have a day off. You're gonna have a sick day. Something's gonna happen. But that's, I think, what people do in relationships with their partner. They say, "You've always got to do this. You've always got to do this," and even be so arrogant as to say, "You don't make me passionate." Right? That's the ultimate in arrogance. And instead, that's too difficult of a job for anybody to do. But the relationship itself, that can always be good. That can always be something worthwhile. So, so again, to me, it's the relationship is everything. Because the relationship can, again, always be good. People can have days off. but the relationship can always be strong.
What do you do? What about you, Kaula? Do you agree with what Nelson is saying?
Well, I do think that relationship consists of two persons. So, and the fundamental of a relationship is willing to listen to the other person and to understand their needs. And if you don't want to listen, well, there is only you in that relationship. So I do think that two partners define a relationship, and in order to work into that relationship, there needs to be an understanding and a good communication.
Very nice. I'm going to ask any of you that want.
And by the way, we have from BIMIFX, in the UK traditional setting, the women tend to stay at home and look after the kids, but that has changed due to men not earning enough money to cater for the family's needs. Okay, Matilda, back to you.
I want to see how do you guys define chemistry of a relationship? How do you think it's important? Is it very important? So people, do you think, is this a very essential need or no?
Yeah, Matilda, I will just hold that question, but I would like to respond to what Nelson said about a question to Nelson. Relationship, is it the person's or the relationship? See, relationship is dynamic. It keeps changing. Needs and expectations, they change. We that are involved, that are inside the relationship, we change as well. So our needs change from time to time. So we adapt to current situation, like what BIMFX just said. The UK traditional settings, women tend to stay at home. But in the relationship, that setting of staying at home has changed dramatically because men don't earn enough because of the environment we are. So women now go out to actually work. So it is dynamic. People in the relationship, now the man and the woman have to go out to work. And the kids will be in a dynamic environment. Say you have a babysitter, you have someone, you have an au pair, you have, in Nigeria, we have, not seven, I don't know if I use the word servants, but you have people
like a nanny.
Yeah, you've got a nanny. So in a UK relationship, you can still have that. But the thing is, people change, relationships change. It's not static, things move. So I just wanted to put that inside.
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty what you're saying, Victor. That's kind of scary. Everything changed.
And just hold that thought right there. Just hold that thought right there for Marie Tapa. I like that, listening to the other person, and especially listening to understand. Okay.
So the last one, I want to see how chemistry is important for all of you guys, and is it an essential need or not?
For me, absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. If there's no chemistry, there's no nothing. But the chemistry depends on the quality of the relationship. And what Victor said is sometimes you have chemistry, but then when you're trying to build something, one person is accelerating or going in a completely different direction from the other person. I don't know about younger women and what their experiences are, but in my generation, it was often heard it said in our community that the women would outgrow the men. So they would start to move in a certain direction because of these changes in society, where there became the necessity for women to go out and earn money, or the desire for them to pursue careers. And when they would do that, the man that they were with wouldn't be able to adapt and keep up with that. And so then the relationship would break down. And that's just one example, but it's a typical example from my experience that I've seen, where what Victor's saying, where you have to grow together and you have to be able to pivot and adapt and keep up with each other. It's like doing a dance almost. And the better that dance is between the couple, the better the chemistry is going to be. So of course, sometimes the chemistry is going to be off, but the idea is, if you want to preserve this relationship or keep this person in your life, you move with them. So if the woman goes this way, the man goes with her. If he goes another way, she goes with him. And that's how you know you've got a good relationship. And I suppose that feeds into what Nelson was saying about the relationship meeting your needs. But I would go so far as to say that the person does as well. I think the relationship can be good and you can create it, but if the chemistry and the person isn't matched with you, then there's going to be some kind of problem somewhere down the line. So I think that the combination of the relationship, the person meeting your needs, you meeting theirs, and you being able to do this continual adapting and growing together in order to stay together is really important. And it takes a bit of playing around with. And I think it comes with experience. I have to say, the older you get, or the more experience you have, the more skilled you are at it. I don't think that there's a recipe that you can tell someone and say, do this, this, and this, and it will work for you. But unfortunately, some people are still looking for that, but it's not out there. Sorry to burst anyone's bubble.
No, very good. What about you, Nelson? You have something to say?
Yeah, I do. But before I get to that, comment here from Sasha Search-Bakarian. Nowadays in developed countries, you need a lot of incomes to have a classical family. So classical family is a luxury. The illusion of the freedom with the individual way of thinking is an illusion, from Sasha Search-Bakarian.
Wow, the guy's on fire today, I guess.
I'm telling you.
Very nice.
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of kill two birds with one stone. One is, and this is about the communication and relationship and the kind of life you want to have, right? Comment from Sasha. You have a lot of divorced women with children and basic jobs. I'm not sure we could call that freedom. A new slavery, perhaps. Be independent. Independence have a cost. You know. So there. And Ruth Shaban. Hello, guys. Good evening. So,
Ruth, we miss you. Where are you? We're missing you in the shows. The topic is about your needs in a relationship, your core needs in a relationship. Oh, we have another comment.
From Samantha Cunningham, communication is the glue to all relationships, and through understanding of each other, you will know your partner's likes and needs. As time goes on, the relationship will continue to grow and develop if both are willing to do the work. Even better.
Lovely.
Good topic from
Thank
Samantha
you.
Cunningham. Yep.
I want to kind of wrap up tonight's show because it's our time to go. But I want to say, Ruth, we are waiting for you for next session next time. Samantha, thank you for tuning in. Ruth, Sasha, Ida, Mary, Tapa, hopefully we're going to see you again. We thank you, Beamy Fex, for tuning in. And Ruth F, thank you for coming. And hopefully we're going to see you guys next time. Bring your friends and bring your comments. I want to make sure that you guys know none of us are psychologists. So we're just passionate podcasters that we like to talk about daily topics that interest us. And I hope that, and we hope it's going to help you guys and help us as well to think differently and be a positive force in the society. And I'm going to let Carla to do the wrapping up.
Well, I think this is a really personal thing. And when you're going to answer the question, what are your core needs in a relationship, you really got to look at yourself. You've got to have that relationship with yourself first. And you need to know at what stage you are in a relationship with yourself and with life in general. So if you know where you are in life, what you're looking for, what your needs are, then you can start to think about other people's needs. But I think also we didn't talk so much about this concept of not just knowing about your own needs, but knowing about what you have that can fulfill someone else's needs. And I think that's the key that we need to understand. When you know your own needs and you know how to get them met, then you become much better at meeting other people's needs. And when you do that, that's when you get awesome relationships, because then you get that dancing that I talked about. You get that good communication, and you get something that not only contributes to your life and the person in the relationship that you're with, but also to society, because relationships fulfill a need in society. And I think that's one of the reasons why I would say personally, and based on the comments that we had earlier from Sasha as well, that the individualism is kind of a threat to society. And that's why a lot of people argue with it, because relationships are not really about us. They're about the bigger units that we build. Strong individuals make strong peers, and strong peers go on to build strong communities. So back to you, Matilda.
Thank you, Carla, for your wisdom and wrapping it up. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Oh, we have another message from Ruth. Nelson, can you read it?
From Ruth Shaban, greetings to Simon Powell. Wait a
Hello,
minute.
Ruth.
Ruth Shaban, communication, care, love, being humble, and caring and honesty. And honesty, most comes later, guys. It's good to be happy with one another. The rest follows. From
I
Ruth
like
Shaban.
that.
And Samantha Cunningham, very true.
I guess when Carla was saying, she's agreeing with. Thank you, Carla, for that, and thank you, Ruth. Next time, please tune in early so we can talk to you more and you can share your comments. And hopefully, we will see you guys 7 p.m. next week, Monday, 7 p.m. London time. Thank you. And let me give my my co-host say goodbye as well. Let's go with you, Carla.
Yep, goodbye. And I'm the host of the Wonder and Wellbeing podcast. And you can find that podcast everywhere that you find all podcasts. And it's all about wellbeing and education. And over to you, Simon.
All right, Simon, Taxi Chronicles and Africa Investor Stories. We post every day for Taxi Chronicles and twice a week for Africa Investor Stories. We're on all major platforms. Nelson, sorry.
And before I go, from Ruth Shaban, in a relationship, if you understand that your man is also a human being, then money won't be an issue to think of. Ruth, by the way, we may make that into a t-shirt comment, by the way. We might put that on a t-shirt and Podcaster Unleash quotes, Ruth. So just to let you know, we might be doing that. Okay, Nelson J. Zambrano here. I'm the host of Investing in America, where we talk and show about investing in U.S. real estate and great interviews with incredible entrepreneurs. And by the way, Ruth Shaban again. Also, I'm sorry for being late. I was at a birthday party, now back at home. I'm happy to see you guys. Kisses to this beautiful ladies. Okay. All right. Ruth, don't let out the guys, okay? Come on. Us guys, we want some kisses and hugs too, all right? Come on. All right. Carla.
Yes, so I'm the host of the podcast Women Stories. You can find me on Spotify and iTunes. And tune in on Podcasters Unleashed next time. I will be the host, and we'll talk about generations, different generations. So tune in, guys. Ruth, tune in.
Victor? We cannot hear you, Victor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was saying I was so pumped right now. Everything is going according to plan. Yeah, I'm Victor Osio. I'm the host of the Diaspora Entrepreneurs podcast. You can find me on Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, everywhere there's a podcast. I am there, where we talk about Africans and Caribbeans in the diaspora who aspire towards the lifestyle of freedom. Yeah, over to you, Matilda.
Coffee with Matilda and Journey to Solve. You can hear it all podcast platforms and Facebook and YouTube. Well, see you guys next time, next Monday. Ciao.